back with comedian David Boyle, and I'm quitting alcohol. So I'll just put this out there now. I was never too sure, or I was never fully convinced Michael Jackson was a pedophile. I mean, I knew he was a freak. Everyone knew he was a fucking freak. And I suppose now, looking back on it, there was enough indicators suggesting he may have been fucking around with kids, considering he had a fucking amusement park in his house and all his best friends were children. But I was never fully convinced, maybe because I loved Michael Jackson so much when I was a kid, from the ages of about 6 to 9. 6'9", Freudian slip, but I watched the first part of Leaving Neverland last night, and I'm going to say, well, it's a two-parter and I only watched the first part, so I'm going to reserve judgment until I finish the second part. But after the first part, it's not looking good for old fucking Wacko Jacko. That is a very fucking disturbing documentary. It's disturbing in a lot of ways. Like Michael Jackson, he was a fucked up unit, no matter which way you cut it. Even if the dudes in this film got paid $1 billion to lie through their teeth about Michael Jackson blowing them when they were kids, even if that's bullshit, which my gut's saying it's not bullshit, they seem to be telling the truth there. Regardless of that, he's still a fucking complete fucking weirdo. And you should never have had your kids around him in the first place. But the weird thing about this is you can sort of see how it played out. He seems to have been one of the greatest manipulators the world's ever seen. It seems like he turned himself into a child so he could fuck with children. And he was the biggest star in the entire world. Not even just the biggest star. He's like one of the most famous people ever. He's in a category of like 3 or 4 people. 2 musicians, Elvis and Michael Jackson. There's no one else. Everyone else is on the second tier compared to those guys. And it just so happens Elvis started fucking with Priscilla Presley when she was 14. So maybe it's not a good idea to get super fucking famous. And here's where the level of his manipulation just becomes mind-blowing. You're watching this documentary and you're sort of trying to find ways to forgive him. That's how fucking good he is. You're trying to find ways that it wasn't his fault. Even the parents of these kids are. They say it in the interviews. They're like, he's such a great guy. He was one of the nicest guys ever. We loved him. We still love him. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? He was fucking with your kids. And they're talking about their experiences with him with a big smile on their face. They got played hard and they're still trying to figure out ways to forgive Michael Jackson. It just shows you how blinding his fame was, because these parents, they got lured in too. It wasn't just the kids. The parents had to be complicit to the whole fucking thing. They were at the Neverland Ranch, fucking kayaking in the pond, going to play with the monkeys, meeting Sean Connery and Tina Turner and all that. They're getting starstruck as well. They're even more starstruck than the kids. The kids don't even know what's going on. Michael Jackson's like, ask your mum if you can sleep in my bed. The kid's running out to his mum. He's like, can I stay in Michael Jackson's bed? They're like, shut up. Do whatever he says. Fucking whatever Michael says, do it. I'd never want to leave the Neverland Ranch, and I don't want to go back to Brisbane. I will do anything to stay out of Brisbane, and so will you, kid. He was like a modern-day Willy Wonka, but instead of killing the kids, he was just fucking them. Not that it matters, but I don't know if it was actual fucking. But there was a lot of sexual activity for a 7 and a 10-year-old kid. You have to fucking blame the parents at some point, don't you? Me and my wife almost got into a massive argument. Well, I almost fucking teed off. She's like, you would have fallen for that straight away. You would have let our kids sleep in Michael Jackson's bed. I'm like, are you fucking out of your mind? I would have let our kids sleep in fucking Michael Jackson's bed. I wouldn't have even let him go to the Neverland Ranch. I can tell you that fucking right now. If Michael Jackson came up to me and said, hey, I want you to bring your kid to my fantasy wonderland in the middle of nowhere, and I want him to stay as my special little guest, I'd be like, listen, Mick, I can call you Mick, can't I? Good. Listen, you can fuck me, you can suck my dick, and maybe I'll even give you a couple of hand jobs. That cinema looks pretty good, and I do like popcorn and chocolate myself. But there is no fucking way I am taking my kid to your... Huh? A roller coaster? Tiger? So you're telling me you got elephants there too and a giraffe? All right, son, we're off to Neverland. Wear something hot. There's no fucking way. My wife would have fallen for it for sure, 100%. As soon as Michael Jackson said our kid was some sort of special saint, my wife would have been like, he can see our child's talent. I'm like, he can't even fucking walk. He can barely string a sentence together. What fucking talent? He can see it. Michael Jackson can see it. He's a genius. He's the most famous person in the world, and he can see our child is a budding superstar. I'm like, he put his fucking shoes on the wrong feet this morning, and he walked into a wall because he had his eyes closed while he was walking. I don't see the fucking talent. I think he might just want to get it on with him. No, I don't think I'd be taking my kid to Michael Jackson's fucking ranch for any reason. But you see those parents, they got blinded by it straight away. The money, the power, the fame. They couldn't see the fucking end of their noses. And the other trick he pulled, he was playing the long game. He was using beta male tactics. Like what loser guys do. They're like, I'm going to befriend this chick, and maybe 10 years down the track, when she gets a little bit too drunk, I'll take advantage then. They just play the long game. He was spending like 6 or 7 hours on the phone every day to these kids. I wasn't even allowed to speak to my girlfriends at fucking 10 years old, let alone a 40-year-old fucking plastic guy that's mysteriously getting whiter by the year. Now, I haven't seen the second part. Maybe there's a big reveal where they're like, nah, just joking. He was sweet the whole time. But it's not looking good for Michael Jackson. And it's not looking good for his fucking songs either. Like, I'm bad. I'm bad. I'm bad. You know it. Yeah, now. Before this, we just thought you were a famous freak. Heal the world. Make it a better place. For you and for me and thee. It's like, what the fuck are you on about, Michael? You can't be fucking kids and singing that song. Smooth Criminal makes sense. That song holds up still. I think the only reason I never thought he was a pedophile was because of one Dave Chappelle joke. The only part I remember clearly of the joke is, he's like, every time America wants to go to war, Michael Jackson starts fucking kids. I'm like, yeah. Well, it turns out if you're fucking kids all the time, it's probably also going to land on a couple of the days you decide to go to war too. So I'll watch the second part of that movie tonight. It's not looking good, Michael Jackson. It's not looking good. All right, that's it for tonight. If you enjoyed the podcast, give it a share around with some people who might like it. Yeah, just do that. And I'll see you the fuck later.